have all the crazy. Okay, guys, we have to watch the intro ceremony because it's China, and I didn't see this, but I heard it was hilarious. So we have to watch this. We'll do a VOD review of their intro. Okay, you ready? This is actually pretty cool. That's actually really cool.
恭喜老干爹3比0挺入决赛。让我们恭喜 QG 王者之路还差一步。
That's actually probably the most original opening that I've seen out of LPL. They didn't just straight up steal a bunch of OGN shit. Oh, that's really cool. Oh god. Okay, I knew it was gonna get weird at some point. It was going so well for a minute. Then the cheap satin cape came in. Now do an interpretive dance. You know the worst part is he's like in just a t-shirt and jeans underneath. This looks like a $3 Halloween costume. Can you at least like not wear this underneath it?
战火即将点燃，跟我一起冲向荣耀之巅吧！
Maybe this is some Chinese thing that I just don't understand culturally. Maybe there's some reference here that I don't get. Okay. Ooh, it's in like a hall of mirrors. They're going for the spooky carnival opening. Oh god. I actually think the Hall of Mirrors thing is pretty cool as a concept, but I don't like these masks. Because thematically it makes it seem like, you know, like a smoke and mirrors game where they're trying to outwit each other or things are an illusion. I think conceptually it's cool. But it's not executed well. Hey. Oh, it's just lagging. The VOD is lagging, guys. I can't do anything about it. Hello? Alright. Oh, yes! Oh, man. Looked like we missed some good stuff. Stage was really nice though. I love the lighting they do on the cup here.
QG Reapers.
Oh right, they're QG Reapers now. I think they have a B team or something.
Top V. Jungle Swift.
Oh, that was better. I love when pro gamers try and act this stuff. OGN has the same hilarious moments. Yeah.
Mid. Doing B.
I have to think that this mask thing is some sort of Chinese cultural reference that I just don't know about. Otherwise, it's just really random.
AD Carry. TNT.
Alright, this is... I can't watch this. What? The cup teleported.
Yeah. AD Carry. In.
Alright, what else we got? Oh, they're doing like a trash talk segment, like exactly like OGN, okay.
And welcome back everyone to the
Alright, well, that was actually less cringy than most Chinese intros. There were parts of that I really liked.
Acorn is absorbing a lot of CS by setting up slow.
I think another 20 minutes.
And if there's ever a time where things are going to get... Yasuo follows. They have actually gone with a target Godby strategy here. And this is dangerous because the guy plays Oriana.
Interesting. So Diana, which Godby is made more popular in Korea now too. He was kind of the first player to play Diana back in this meta, and he was obviously doing very well on it. So that actually leaked over, and KT has been running a lot of it. I expect we'll see Diana bans or picks in the finals in Korea, considering that Faker has been spamming in solo queue. Nidalee Elise? Okay. I think that's smart. You want to shut down Swift's, like... Because Swift is such a great mechanical jungler. Question making, a little bit questionable. Decision making, I mean, a little bit questionable, but... take out the champions he can do well with early, because he is really good mechanically. Alright, Victor. Lulu first pick. Okay, so as a result, LGD takes the Kog'Maw right away to shut down Juggermaw, possibly, if that's going to be coming in. Very defensive draft so far. And you know it's going to be a Lulu mid, pretty much, obviously, with that. So they're doing basically like a Jugger Vayne comp, and you know, this is, we've seen some teams do this in Korea. It can be successful. They have good engage, and their team fighting, when we watch QG team fight, you'll see they're really, really good at it. So again, Gragas Vayne, another good combination, like Gragas Tristana, Gragas Jinx, Gragas Vayne, all really strong AD jungle synergy, because you isolate a target for Vayne, and you have enough follow-up too. You have Whimsy speed for the Vayne in addition to her passive, so that she can really chase people down after that fight, and Swift to get those single targets. So this is a... It's hard to execute this properly, but QG should have confidence because that is their specialty. Meanwhile, on the LGD side, they are just going to take the Oriana last. You know, that's the Ori last pick here. You have good protection for Acorn. They have engaged with Alistar. They have secondary engaged with Rek'Sai and Gnar. So they've got a lot of protection for the Kog'Maw, and they should be doing fine. Pretty even lane here. They successfully kept Swift off. I mean, obviously Gragas can still do work early, but you're going to be a lot less afraid of Gragas with Maokai than you are like Gragas in Italy or Gragas Elise, where they could just follow up, hit you off of that twisted advance. Still, you know, Acorn's going to have to be a little bit careful on the top side that he gets ganked. We'll see if there's any action here, because there's not a lot of... Oh, we're still watching. That intro is still there. Okay.
Congratulations, you're already the first Chinese team through to Worlds, but Imp would like to add another title to that very big trophy case in PYL. He's been desperate to win. Maybe he wants it to lose, trust me.
Okay, so looks like they're stacking on the top side a little bit here. That's an interesting start. This is interesting because you put a sapling in this brush to start out with, so it seems to me that QG may be looking for a possible safe lane for Vayne, because Vayne may have some issues getting poked out here early on. They drop a ward in it afterwards, and now we do see the swap coming through. They do... Yeah, so it looks like the lane swap will be going forward, so let's take a look and see how this goes. Pretty sure LGD wanted standard lanes here. And LGD will be... This is dangerous. Starting weak side at Krug means that there's a possibility of a Braum invade early on to harass you while you're trying to do blue. But that's not actually going to happen because both teams are going to take Krugs. And there's not going to be a freeze as a result either. So now we get to watch minion waves and see how that goes. So, because of the Krugs, delayed invade from the Braum into the blue side. So he's not going to find anything, but he will know exactly where they started. And so they have a good idea about what's going on. V doesn't have to TP into the top side. Just walks up there. Does get level 2. There isn't a freeze, remember, so it's hard to tell which way that minion wave is going to be pushing.
We predicted the lane swaps here. Pili are still in the top lane for now, but once again, Imp's playing Kog'Maw is going to be completely unlocked on this game. Yeah, PYL wants to make sure Imp is safe. Probably also wants to level 2 and see if they can get the wave pushing into them before he goes anywhere else. Because there's always the, especially because Swift starts...
It's interesting that Imp is prioritizing the Kog'Maw so much these days because... obviously he's a fine Kog'Maw player, but it was always more deft who was known for that. But it's not like he can't play it.
Over the Scuttle Crab. No smites here. It's going to be all skill for this one. TBQ level 3 as well. Has a slight advantage. Swift! Oh, needs it. He did get it! Gets the crab away, but now he's in trouble. Has to body slam Cruel. So worth. So very worth. It didn't even matter.
You're not really worried about scrapping in that situation because, again, the lack of kill pressure is really there. Godvi has gone for Ghost on Orianna this game just to get into a better position. You know, it's interesting, but he obviously doesn't have to take the cleanse or the heal or anything like that on Ori or the barrier, so it's nice to be able to have that extra mobility in team fights. And then we are going to see a push down in the bottom side because they didn't get that freeze the way they wanted to. Alright, here we go. Yes. Oh, they get this? No.
Swift with a huge body slam as TBQ misses the Prey Seeker. Just barely saves his mid lane. The smallest things in that particular trade actually get them out. Swift with
nice. It was a nice gank, but there's more summoners used by LGD on that gank, and Doinb has teleport, so he can just get back into lane immediately. I don't really think that was worthwhile for LGD to do. You didn't know where the Gragas was. If he had been there sooner, it could have caused problems. And regardless, he just has a TP to get right back into lane, so there's not a whole lot of point to extending that far for the kill. But they wanted to do something because they were losing their bottom turret.
It is going to be Doinb because he can teleport back in. Spawn, you mentioned 2 summoners down for the Orianna. Well, you can see how this now starts to give a small advantage towards Doinb.
Have to see whether he able to shop him before they come back to lane. You probably
If you guys don't know, Godvi is a player. He is really well known for his Orianna play. He's a very spectacular Orianna player. Super good.
But I don't want to go too
I think
deep.
we saw Akon do this from the top lane, but I can't quite remember.
So it's always fun to see him on that particular champion. And I'll just swap back into the top side. Pretty standard stuff.
Really inefficient.
But just a Vamp Scepter for TNT because of that early push. You know, I don't really like fast pushing with Vayne. I think you should just freeze. Obviously, they didn't have a choice to do that because they made the decision to go for the Krugs this game. But I just think that if you decide... Ori is... Or, I mean, Vayne, rather, she just does so well in a free situation because you can really power yourself up via farm. And the problem with Blade first builds is that you can end up in lane with something that's just like a Vamp Scepter. It's not like Imp has a huge advantage or anything with pieces of a Phage. It gives you that sustain, but you have to be really worried about an all-in. PYL has Flash Ignite in this game, so there's a possibility that if a gank were to come through, even though TBQ doesn't have Flash right now, that Vayne could be in a lot of trouble.
You know what's funny though is because of the teleport into the bottom lane.
People are confused about Vayne. Vayne is played all the time in China and Korea in this
Already had the wave
meta.
frozen, I believe, or somewhat frozen in the neutral spot in the top lane. So didn't have the numbers, didn't have the damage to take that down.
The LCS teams don't play Vayne, though.
Worked out for Xiao.
They also, I don't know, they don't play very much Callista either. It's weird.
Yeah, it certainly did. Now, with 5 Caster Creeps, I get to finally answer my question of what is
Okay.
early game Caster Creep or jungle.
That makes me so nervous. You have no idea where their jungler is and walking forward like that.
Might finally be made pay here. Swift actually completing that
He knows his plays, man. Caster Creeps at this
Yeah,
stage,
that's the smart play to make right there. You have no idea where the Rek'Sai is. And you don't want to go in on that gank because if it's a 3v3, you're probably not going to win that. Yeah, Callista is always banned. I know. I've actually seen a lot of LCS games there, though, where nobody picks Callista.
Standard V, of course, doesn't really want to die, and being in the lane spot
And, like, you say it's permaban, but literally in Korea, it is always banned.
your life miserable.
It's banned in, like, 95% of games.
Speaking of non-passive players,
It's definitely not banned that high in LCS. And the other big difference, I think, in LCS is that sometimes one team will ban it, like we saw TSM was banning it on both sides, but it's pretty much permanently a red side ban in Korea because every AD carry is dangerous with it. Whereas in NA, some teams like just don't play it for whatever reason.
Oh my god, going straight in. TNT gets ignited. That might be enough damage. A great
Oh.
unbreakable as he's forced to
Oh.
He's still gonna die as PYL.
Not even standing on range creep right now, just denying.
Oh my god, going straight in. TNT gets ignited. That might be enough damage. A great unbreakable as he's forced to flash.
That was a little
He's
close.
Still gonna die as PYL.
PYL got away without using his flash right there, but it probably would have been better if he had just flashed in and queued and then headbutted.
Not going to live through the occasion. He tried to get an.
Did they know where the jungler was?
PYL barely gets first blood.
He was
Oh,
dead.
they did.
There was
Okay.
no point even burning the flash.
So,
He was
wait.
That might be
Did
enough
they know
damage.
where
A
the jungler
great
was?
unbreakable as he's forced to flash.
on the melees. Not even standing on range creep right now, just denying.
Oh my god, going straight in. TNT gets ignited. That might be enough damage. A great unbreakable
Okay.
as he's forced to flash out.
Well, they knew that he was probably at red buff, but they didn't definitely know that he was there.
Dead. There was no point even burning the flash. He was not
Mild
going to live through the
risk.
occasion. He tried to get an auto attack to get some life steal in to keep himself alive. Now PYL chasing down TCT.
yeah, so he flashed on the assumption that it was enough to actually keep him alive. That one auto attack followed by the flash to dodge the Kog'Maw ult. The end result, not exactly what they were looking for. And this is the level 6 advantage, of course. TNT and TCT 5 and 4.
And Imp's got double summoner spells still available. PYL's got flash. TCT, get out of there.
Yeah, he's leaving. He's like, I don't really like
That's the
what's
shitty
happening.
thing about having to go
Get
back
it
and
out of
recall
there,
for
get
only a
that
Vamp
power,
Scepter
even
is
that
that you're
backup
just...
there for LGD.
What are you going to do in that situation, really? You kind of expect to die, but he's getting zoned out for a lot of CS.
Again, that unexpected duel and ImpYL showing up again.
No dragon actually able to be taken as well, because that was a 2v2 that actually just gave them a kill. So no knowledge of where TBQ was prevents any kind of forward engagements for this Xiaogu side. They're left to just sit back and try and continue to farm whilst the top lane crumbles.
Oh, and he had enough gold for boots as well as a Sheen. Even if they leave the lane swap where it is and freeze it out, there's no way that V can stay under that turret bottom lane because Sheen procs on Kog'Maw are just so brutal. LGD now in a very
So swapping it back up once again. So they should have the 1v1 they want now. Acorn goes for the Hex Drinker just so he can harass the Maokai in lane. So he's pretty committed just to split pushing for a little bit. But this is where the Gnar Maokai matchup really starts to go in Gnar favor, is after that first big buy. Maokai really can't stand up to Hex Drinker Gnar very well. And this is pretty not surprising. Meanwhile, they're going to try and make a play onto the dragon, so nice rotations from LGD here, maximizing that early game advantage. QG just going to respond by trying to take a tower and get some farm onto Vayne. Yep, it's nice. Both teams playing pretty well. I don't know about taking turret shots for a couple shots onto Maokai right there. Oh, if they actually get this turret, he has Sheen, so, but it's a lot to work through this early in the game.
Yeah, and the thing is that they had control over the bottom side of the jungle. I'm sorry, PYL going to get the combo in. Shockwave's there as well. The Wildgrowth's going to get all three. He's going to flash out, but TBQ's going to follow. Swift is here. Huge cast as V rides in as well to TBQ. He will fall. Dovi is barely going to live. And
this is the thing about watching Chinese games, right? Imp is down here proxying. They try to do too much at the same time. They already pushed the Maokai back, but they know that Maokai just went back to base because he was pushed off the wave by proxying. V is going to recall into the base, and he has teleport up. And Acorn has TP up too, but he's like in the jungle farming right now, and he's not exactly tanking. He's built for lane, and all he's doing, he doesn't even have any Gnar bar really to speak of. Now, they just walk up here. They don't know where Gragas is, I'm pretty sure. No, they have no idea where Gragas is. They have no idea. Flash is back up. Wild Growth is back up for Doinby. But here's the thing. It's not the right decision to make, but even though they don't make the right decision, there's even a ping on Gnar right here. So it seems like QG knows where Gnar is. Even though they don't make the right decision, because they're playing too risky, the execution is still super good. Like, watch this. Okay? The setup is there. You can see how well they chain their abilities into each other. So PYL comes in, headbutt, pulverize. He knows what's already going to happen. He knows that there's going to be a command protect onto him. You see how he walks in front of Lulu right here? No, there's not a command protect on him. He's just standing there in case there is, so that the shockwave can come through. Right? He sets himself up so that if the situation arises where there's a Orianna E, he's already there, waiting for it. There's a flash to follow up. They know that he can Wild Growth, then flash, so they follow up with a flash of his own, and it's very well executed. The problem is, even if you're really good at doing this, why would you do this right now? They already had an advantage. Instead of trying to make epic play in the mid lane, Kog'Maw was just proxy farming. They could have just taken the tier 1 on the bottom side. The decision making is just iffy at best.
Dovi is barely going to live, and Acorn a little late to the party.
Swift is a monster.
The fact that Doinby lived as well is just unbelievable. He took
You shouldn't do that.
Reserve usage of that unburrow to ensure that
I think you just walk into the bottom side, zone the Maokai off the turret, get the wards down, and then take tier 1. Because as a result of that, they got nothing. They lost tier 1, they didn't trade it. They got the dragon earlier, which is nice. It's just... It's like whenever I watch Chinese LoL, it's like the blessing and the curse of China, right? They are so coordinated when it comes to team fighting and ganking and mechanically sound, and it was well done. but
needs to be careful
just
in a
because
long
it
lane,
can be
so
done
that
doesn't
if
mean
you
it
get
should
out
be
of the long
done.
lanes, generally don't suit you if you're a Kog'Maw and you're against a Vayne.
Yeah, and to further that even more now,
Especially when you could have just continued to snowball the game off of that objective.
that has been finished in
You could have traded 1-for-1 turrets, and also I think probably gotten that dragon. And certainly you wouldn't have given up a kill.
Where it may not just be the mid lane in particular, they may put all of their efforts towards the long lane that is dangerous for him, and have 2 teleport options available.
Yeah, search for a deep ward, see if you can turn a 3v3 into a 5v3. Use that to your advantage. Definitely agree that right now, QG arguably with more options around the map, and it was just because Swift was able to turn that gank.
And that's been the biggest thing for me. We talked before the series that TBQ is not a completely new identity, but he's improved so much, and it's come a lot from that ganking and that counter ganking. He's getting shadowed by Swift in the first 13 minutes of this game.
Yeah, because you could see it telegraphed so clearly. They were looking to.
It's also just an even more interesting decision because you don't need Orianna ahead in this game, right? They're playing around Imp's Kog'Maw, so why not just give Imp the solo gold on the bottom turret?
Every time that W is up, there's just nothing TNT can do.
Yeah, they maybe
It's not very well conceptualized.
Really good counter
This
gank
is
here.
his style.
Yeah,
Rex
funnily enough,
lightweight.
we said that it was going to be TBQ counter ganking this entire time. He's been the one ganking, and Swift want to push all of the lanes down, get the big stuff.
So TBQ playing around the bottom side of the map because they want to push this tower out and continue to deny the Vayne as much farm as possible. Hand over the red buff to Acorn, no problem. You want to give the Gnar the red buff so he can harass the Maokai.
They're doing okay up in CS right now, building in towards that righteous glory, but TNT is the one certainly struggling. That blade's done, but he can't really do anything. Gonna go back in as PYL. Didn't quite hit the flash button, I don't think.
No, I think what actually happened was that they walked back into Fog of War, so the W didn't go off, and then so he just slammed his hands into the ground in an impressive.
This is nice by TBQ. Just come into the lane right while they're pushing forward. So you're there for a counter gank, you're set up.
Oh, that could be bad news. PYL.
He's level 6, it doesn't matter if he face checks that.
Yeah, just get slowed
Okay, here we go.
down. There's going to be a telly. Zombie might join in there as well, but Swift's now in trouble. He's forced to custom away. Akon gets condemned out there as TTT. He's going to be kind of caught out of position. Gets a 3-man ulti. Great wild growth there from Zombie. V's going to join in now as well. They need a kill, but here comes Godby trying to line up the shockwave as V. He's going to charge forward. They've already killed him. There's a double kill there for TNT. Swift just pops away with a body slam, and Xiaogu come up huge.
Well, this is the advantage. Double teleport.
Came early, right there. That was unbelievable. The fact that
The 2
double
TPs,
teleport, you mentioned
like,
that, but in saying that, Orianna was
you're always going to get there beforehand. So you just need to be, you need to play defensively here. You know both TPs are up if you're LGD. So the entire, what is you have to ask, what is the point of what LGD is trying to accomplish? Because the setup here says counter gank, we want to push this lane forward and set up for a counter gank. So as soon as this happens, you probably shouldn't commit to the rest of this with double teleports up on the enemy team, right? PYL has the ultimate, which he does a good job of holding onto, by the way. He didn't pop it immediately, he waited. That was really smart. But Moore, or TCT or whatever you want to call him, is here already blocking a lot of Imp's damage. Now Acorn comes in, but remember, he has no physical damage stats, so him fighting the Vayne right now on the side is not great for him, especially when he's not even in Mega Gnar form. So that's a great Glacial Fissure, but LGD lines up for it. And then, there you go. Doin B's already here with the Lulu ultimate to get a 4-man knockup into Arcane Smashes coming in from V, so they clustered. There's just a lack of respect for the double globals. You need to make sure that you aren't in that situation where Lulu can just come down there and turn the tide of the fight. Play conservatively and just, you can always choose if you're here. The best thing that LGD I think could have done is drawn out the 2 TPs. So he starts the TP right now. Nobody TPing yet. Where is it? There it is. From Doin B. They probably can't. They may not be able to see the TP. I can't really tell. But just disengage. Pop the Alistar ult and get out of there. It's a lack of respect for double globals, but it was a good reaction from QG.
but in saying that, Orianna was always going to be there because they were kiting up the river. It's the fact that when Lulu did get there, the wild growth went onto these targets in such a perfect manner that it was comboed with the Braum ultimate from TCT. And just like that, Christmas for Vayne.
Well, it's the positioning that the teleport gave you. They were there at the same time. Lulu was on the carries. Orianna had no choice but to hit the front line because she was walking into the Maokai, walking into Swift, who did the do-si-do and swap positions with her very nicely over the wall. But definitely not what they were looking for, and you could see that with Acorn picking up the red buff...
Yeah, it's really crazy because after the deficit that Vayne was at earlier in this game, LGD really, after some misplays and some overly aggressive plays, they've now fallen behind. And there was no reason to do that. We saw how they could have just taken a tower and snowballed their advantage, but they just decided to keep fighting. Instead, it's really weird.
Yeah, and the difference is Vayne. A lot of self-pull, the PL, the tumble, the condemn, able to move around the map. Imp, if he doesn't have PYL on him in this game, even though he's 50 CS down, 2 kills.
Okay. I mean, great vision control from both sides. Lots of pinks on the map. In the right places. Try and discourage invades, especially by Swift. You can see some really interestingly defensive pink wards right there. Nice early, very early talisman upgrades from QG, especially this jungle sweeper upgrade. He's not going Sightstone, which I, again, disagree with, but at least he's able to clear wards.
Gonna get aggressed on by PYL, looking for the shockwave, but Govi doesn't quite find it. Gets Swift there instead, but the Wild Growth coming up as Imp's gonna be the first target. They'll jump straight on him there. He's got collapsed on 3v1, and he will die to TCT. The passive gonna try and find something, but Rek'Sai's already dead, and TNT gonna join late, but he shows up.
I don't know why you would flash pull the Lulu with ulta and flash up.
Pops his ultimate, Vayne does not care with the silver bolt, and another double there for TNT.
Vayne is so good into Alistar also, but this engage, it was a very overzealous attempt from LGD. They actually tried to knock...
And another
what is LGD doing?
Has spawned as well.
So, they see Vayne in bottom. They don't know where Braum is. There's a pink ward here, so they're not going to see Braum. They drop a ward in, and this prompts PYL to go in immediately because they think, okay, we've got this. It's going to be a 5v4. Acorn's right here, but he's exhausted right now. And what are you going to do? It's a Rod of Ages Lulu. Like, certainly it's not stacked yet, but he still has Wild Growth on himself. It's a nice... ish. And then Imp's positioning right here too. He walks next to the Maokai as these tanky members are kiting out, and then they walk into the choke point, which gives plenty of time for Braum to get up here. Remember, they didn't know where Braum was. And now Vayne is just able to get up here with ultimate and kill everybody.
Just about when he needs you to scoop up the first kill onto Nine. Now PYL pops his ultimate. Vayne does not care with the silver bolt, and another double there for TNT.
Vayne is so good into Alistar also, but this engage, it was a very overzealous attempt.
I just don't...
LGD actually tried to
it's like they just make decisions on a hair trigger. They set up a fight, but then they don't think about what the possible ramifications of going into that fight are.
But it controlled a zone to the point where they had to actually flash to try and get to safety. Wasn't very safe.
And one thing about Braum's ultimate that a lot of people overlook is the fact that it has a residual slow afterwards. So even if you don't...
Yes, Twitch chat, they are making split-second decisions. They can't pause and review it. So why would you take the risk? That's the thing. That's you set up a plan and then you execute it. You don't just respond to whatever your enemy shows you. That's how you lose. Making impulsive decisions is not good in League of Legends.
About 4,000 gold and getting themselves a dragon. We talked about them needing to start off in the early game, but these last few exchanges have gone very well for them.
comes down to execution so much so that LGD are the ones trying
Like,
to do
you
all
just have to go in with the mindset of, if I see 3 tanks here, I probably shouldn't flash over the wall and try to kill them because Lulu's wild growth is up. You just don't do that. You have that in your mind in advance. If you're going into a fight as a pro player, you should know whose cooldowns are up, who is killable with your composition. Do you have the damage there necessary to pull it off? If this happens, do I just disengage? You can't just always run forward and hope it works out for you. That's not good macro. It's not good shot calling.
All of a sudden, this is TNT's game to take over.
And you can tell where the focus is going there as well. 2 little team fights, and there are 3 people at least trying to dive out onto him. So Shagu have navigated well here, but they do need to pick up the pace perhaps and make sure they run with this lead. It's not enough to sit here. That is dangerous territory against LGD.
not the place you want to be in. But Shagu, you mentioned the CS discrepancy. I did not even
Man, it's just unbelievable to me that TNT was so far behind in this game and now has managed to make it back in it and get all these kills. Still behind in farm, but he's pretty much even in gold just because of the kills.
So, though the CS discrepancy was there, the cost of the items, they were essentially...
Oh man, he already has... he has Blade PD at 18 minutes, 19 minutes. It's really fast.
Engaging on him, no longer a fantastic option. Going towards a cap as well.
QG doing a good job of playing this out, though, when it comes to continuously putting on the pressure. And LGD honestly doing a good job of defensive warding. They've actually managed to relatively keep control of their jungle, even though this has all gone tits up for them.
We'll make it work because he just doesn't die, and even if he's out of position, he's fine because he's a tank and Swift.
Acorn being so far behind, though, is really an issue because he still doesn't have... The most fed member is the Vayne, and he has a cloth armor that he just bought right now. So QG should just keep fighting, honestly, because Gnar is not able to really reasonably join these team fights, and Vayne is going to stay alive forever thanks to Lulu. It's a really good situation for QG. Yep. Okay, we're just gonna freeze for a few minutes, I guess. Alright, who knows what happened during that pause? Did anybody die? No, nobody died.
I think that is something they can use to their advantage. I also think that it's going to get to a point as soon as Vayne gets maybe QSS and one more item that they're just happy to pull the trigger on neutrals. Swift is so tanky at this stage of the game going towards the Frozen Heart. As soon as that is finished up, he's not even going to take damage really with a Braum stand behind him. So they just need to be patient at this stage of the game. They've broken the outer ring. They've got their gold lead. Now they need to force LGD to team fight.
So it's patience, but it's also so difficult to execute now because now they're dealing with LGD who are starting to pivot.
This Vayne getting going so early is so bad. Basically, LGD just has to make sure that they kill Vayne, but they may not even have the damage to do that. And there's so much disengage from Gragas and from Braum, and QG's so good at team fighting that it doesn't really seem like a likely option for them moving forward.
Certainly saw a lot of it in the playoffs. But Dragon up now 20 seconds away. See if LGD do want to contest, and the items have started coming out as well. Blade of the Ruin King there for Imp. We've got the Rabadons completed now for Doinby as well. The tank items are coming out as Godby. Just going to get away with that blue.
Ninja Man, they're able to get that.
Gets the all-important buff before the dragon.
So LGD just wants to snowball off the dragon right now. They're going to try and take the blue buff. So LGD knows they can't contest the dragon, so they just have to go for blue. They really cannot team fight right now until Acorn gets some more armor and HP. Like, that's not even remotely an option. Vayne will just absolutely destroy them. And they don't have enough damage yet to reliably kill the Vayne before she kills half the team. LGD is kind of just playing damage control right now.
If you're looking to actually deal with the 1-3-1 if you're in a negative position.
Very conscious choice once they thought that they were going to get double teleport.
So the question is QG going to start an early Baron?
Well, with that we are seeing again Dragon number 2 being taken up. Shagu got it a couple minutes ago, so we'll see it back up in about 3 or 4. Game which I get the open
Because they certainly could.
the wave so well. And this
LGD has decided they want to play an objective game right now by split pushing and just trying to farm up the Gnar. But the question is, why didn't they just do this in the first place? I know they're capable of it too. They're a good team. Just weird that they would start this game with taking very risky, low-reward fights when they can just play around pressure and farming well. It's not normally what we see from them.
70 CS in the bottom lane right now for LGD. They had given away 4 kills onto the Vayne at the start of this game. This one would be a very different story right now because of how well LGD have funneled farms onto the 2 most important members.
And as it's annoying when it comes to managing those side waves here. He was really good from...
Question is, will he get the Randuin soon before another fight breaks out? Okay, what happens here?
Now I will question the Zeke's Harbor here.
PYL actually condemned into a wall, but they're going to try and start a
That's
fight.
burn his ult, that's unfortunate, but it's not the end of the world. Uh-oh, Mount Guy.
I think they know it. Swift gets a massive double body slam.
Nice initiate.
Wow. But a Brawl multi's coming out. The Shockwave's getting it lined up. Finds it onto 3 there as Oriana takes out Vayne. But Godby's going to get savaged.
How did they get onto Vayne?
Gets a massive double body slam. Moves God. He's looking for the flank. He's actually already...
Wow, Acorn is like full... Oh, wow, he has full Narbar right here. Okay, so they think that they've got a good flank, but I didn't see this at first. Acorn is at basically 100% Rage. So going in on this fight instead of playing around the Gnar... Remember, they could see Gnar on the minion wave right here. So going in on a Gnar, when this is happening, they want to get back onto the Kog'Maw immediately. And they get a nice cast. And this probably would have gone very well for QG. They just blew the Alistar ult, but this is such a big factor. This is so important. And the other thing is TCD doesn't flash it. He ult tumbles in, but he could have flashed that. Wait, where was he? How did he get caught like by that? Yeah, he could have flashed the Gnar ult. Didn't do it though. And then V is up here isolated from the rest of your team. TBQ goes back to keep him away because they already LGD already has the position that they want on the back line, and they still have the shockwave up and everybody is just in there. Now watch the ball. It's like a perfect setup. Acorn plays this really, really well. PYL also plays it well. Notice how this is, I mean, the team fighting is so good here from LGD. So he gets knocked out, but watch what they're going to do. Acorn, flash into position, Gnar ult, PYL. Okay, did you see that too? Did you see this? People, you may not even know that you can do this. He pull flashes, which means he starts the animation before he flashes. It's so hard to do. Watch. See that? That is so hard to do. Like, reliably. You probably shouldn't even take the risk if in a situation, because if you mess that up, you look absolutely stupid here. Yeah, people say it's not hard. Do you really want to try doing that in a professional game and fuck it up? Is it even worth the risk? Like, you have to be so confident that you're going to hit that. Because it's a part of the core crowd control that keeps LGD in here. Right? So everything about this team fight is quite good from LGD. They hit the flash ult straight into this. Now watch, the shockwave's going to come through because GodV can just walk up right now. That's fucking sick, dude. What a great combo.
Finds it onto 3 there as Oriana takes out Vayne, but Godby's going to get savaged there by the rest of the side as Xiaogu still fighting out an imp.
And it was perfectly safe because TBQ turned around. He realized that his front line had it, and they were going to hit that ult.
One carry versus 2. As soon as the Vayne goes down, all of the damage goes with it. Godby falls, but Imp is still there to clean up.
All of this effort was genuinely onto Godby. The flash engage, pulling him towards the team, but he had the summoners ready to go. So he
you guys are so funny. Yeah, you hit that reliably in clutch situations in the finals of LPL. You have the balls to try and do that move. And trust yourself that you're not going to fuck it up and lose your team a fight. Okay? I don't even know what you guys are impressed by anymore.
When you are against a Gnar that can just flash ulti you at will, especially Acorn's Gnar, not going for third item QSS is going to be punishing, because you feel if you had have been able to stealth up, get out of that damage, with Doinby surviving for as long as he did, that could have...
I rarely see pros do that because it's dangerous to do, and there's a real chance of messing it up.
Again, QG trying to line up this Baron, but Dragon's back in a minute 20, and that gold lead started to even back up. I think that was an accident.
He just queued it and autoed it. I feel like
He's trying to tell his team something.
yeah, he's telling TCT to get out of the pit. That's what he's telling his team right now. Xiaoku are actually
You're funny.
playing a lot around
You're
with
funny,
the
Twitch chat.
moment. And I'm not a big fan of that with their team, because they're putting themselves in not direct choke points, but they're forcing fights.
And the other thing you have to consider too is how well LGD chained that ability together. There wasn't overlap when it came to the crowd control. They just kept that Vayne locked down the entire time. So the coordination surrounding that and knowing when to use that flash versus when to just walk up, super good.
Now TNT's on the backline firing away. Duke's out of the way. The Bolter tosses PYL. Gonna run his way in. The shockwave only hits the tanks. TCT.
Yeah, didn't do so well that time.
Xiaoku know what they want. Get the double. Take it out. And the ace will be completed. Can they get it? No Swift will smite it away.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of that with their team.
And QG finally just realizes they can go for the Baron here. I think this was the correct play earlier. But.
Not going to be ideal if Gnar is in the game.
Too many Victor games perhaps, as they have started off the Baron. LGD gonna spot this out. They've popped the water, but it's very low here. Can they get it? No Swift will smite it away. TCT gonna...
So Acorn here's in another really good rage, a position with a rage, but he doesn't get TNT this time, and that's the crucial moment, right? Not getting the Vayne sucks. Oops, I muted it.
Barely livers water,
so
but it's very low here. Can they get it? No Swift will smite it away. TCT get a barely...
Yeah, Acorn lands it, but TNT actually does get the tumble out this time. And Acorn, he's gonna melt. So they got the fight they wanted, but Impulse doesn't have any mana, which really not very helpful. And the Shockwave doesn't do anything. Remember that they do have a lot of magic resist onto their tanks right now. When did Doinby use Wild Growth? Oh, he used it on Swift, okay. Wasn't the best, but it's alright. As soon as the Shockwave goes down too, I love how TNT repositions on the flank to go after Orianna. He knows she's got no summoners, she's got nothing left. That was a good turn after the Baron by Xiaogu. They just instantly popped the Righteous Glory.
No mana, wasn't able to proc the Sheen as often as he would like. You can see him on your screen. Does not look happy at all. Godby Shockwave didn't hit the Vayne this time around, and QG run over the top of them.
That was TCT right there. That entire fight, he had no right being alive for as long as he was. But because he had the Unbreakable up, TNT sitting behind him can just sit there and destroy Godby, move on to Imp. And this is all after Acorn dies to start with. And he's stacking magic resistance. He's only got the Randuins.
Yeah, let's take another look at it. They start the Baron up, and from there, even though TCT goes so low, Acorn doesn't get the Vayne. You wait for the Shockwave.
You have to lock down that Vayne, but this is how the composition should work from QG. You know, it's weird too that I didn't even think about this, but it's weird that we even saw QG trying for that flank in the last fight. Because they don't have to do that. Their engages are not predicated on whether they get flanks or not. All they have to do is throw a cask in, isolate somebody for Vayne, and then just have Maokai peel. It's actually pointless for them to even go for flanks because it's not even good for their team composition. So I think that was just a conceptual error, but you see how powerful it is when you play it like that. It's ridiculous when you're ahead. This game's over.
Something that's LGD out.
They haven't had to requires the attention of other people. So
right now out of community there, played this.
But yeah, a lot of that was just the difference between having Maokai in the front as opposed to Vayne just getting collapsed on in the back. They didn't let him hit the CC that time.
They need to engage on the 3-man unit.
They'll take out the tower. Acorn's Mega now. He needs to be on the other side. LGD gonna try and go in for something. They'll get Doimby.
Okay, so they try and punish this split LGD. It's about all they can do at this point, but they just don't have damage. They have no damage right now without the Kog'Maw.
And V, he's just still tanking damage. He doesn't care at all. Now TNT's in. Look at the ulti out there, bleeding red now, or LGD. As TNT gets the first kill onto Rek'Sai, he's going to go off here. The shockwave gets flashed out there by Vayne. PYL's the target. Godby almost gets himself a kill in him.
Yeah, they're going to defend this, actually.
He's got the kill onto Greg as Xiao Gu got so greedy as Imp. He flashes forward. He smells blood. The slows there onto TCT. PYL is about to get
flashing into...
And a 1-for-1 trade is a miracle.
All those slows from Glitterlance is iffy, but whatever. They probably know they've just lost, so they're just going to take the risks.
This is the call
double teleport.
Oh, Doimby's going to come in.
Although
His team's there.
Not there.
This is a weird choice here. Vayne sort of caught out in the middle. The TPs are going to come back down here as well. And LGD are forced into a really strange corner.
He's stuck on the Baron.
He's busy tanking Baron. And Swift gonna find the kill. Once Godby, they'll try and lock him down first, but if he's doing damage, Akon gets condemned away there as he tries to wallop. They're gonna take out the tanks as a front line. He's just going through the back. Godby is gonna go down. Swift gets ulted. PYL's gonna get picked off. Imp is left completely exposed. And another wonderful team fight as TNT cleans house.
V-Tank Baron, full health. What was that?
And TBQ's done.
Oh, he's gonna surrender.
Back to the base.
Interesting. Interesting game. I like how QG played that out, though, for the most part. I really do think that LGD misplayed the early game after they had that advantage. I think if they hadn't done a bunch of the dumb stuff we talked about, it would have been a pretty easy win for them. They had the Vayne down, who was the only damage dealer. Like, the only way that QG could win that game if that Vayne got fed. And instead of just taking the range advantage in the laning matchup with Kog'Maw and just continuing to push towers and choke the life out of the Vayne, they chose to fight and it was countered. They chose to fight without sufficient vision. But honestly, like I hadn't seen that game, but I had seen some of the games later in this series. But if I had watched that first game, I would have still thought that LGD was going to win this series because you saw what an advantage they got, and it was really like a lot of their mistakes and decisions that threw it away. Not necessarily anything that QG did. I think they played it out well in the end, and especially in the later team fights when Maokai was in front of them.